need to open. No, I don't. You write the.
Yeah. So now I'm recording. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well. I'm very well. I'm happy to be here and doing this.
Me too. So the other day, Adriana invited me to have dinner at her place, and she was making amazing food. And we ended up talking about what she was doing because I have never been in one of her workshops, but I have always been interested of what she does. I just know that she is a PhD, she's a doctor, a scientist, an artist, a mom of an amazing daughter, and now I know she cooks amazingly. So we ended up talking about the work that she does with women and this Women of Me program, which sounds very interesting. So maybe you want to talk us about more.
No, it was great to meet you. It's I find that it's really the way that things resonate with me. You know, we met personally first in the dance environment actually, and then we ended up together again because you are interested in the same matters, and I work in that. It happens I work with that, and I really like when the interest is together. And because with my work with women comes from my clinic work, my experience. I am a therapist, but I also moved on into more the coaching approach to life. So I support people in their times of life where there's things changing and there's a transformation waiting to happen. And the Women of Me program came from that environment. And then what I find is that I meet so many women amongst my friends as well that I would like to have on this journey. And you are one of them. And I'm really happy that you decided to work with me so you can benefit from the program. One of the things about this program is that I do it myself. It's for myself.
Yeah.
Practice is a constant practice. So for me, it's sharing what I do.
That's something that you can tell, like from the way you talk and then the way you express what you're doing. Like you do it for yourself and you enjoy it yourself.
Well, exactly. I have a friend that said, you know what, when is it going to happen? You know, your self-awareness work is going to finish. And I said, well, exactly. Some people say I'm a little bit obsessed with that. And it's not really an obsession, it's just observation. You know, I find that that's the first thing. For health matters, in my relationships, when things are not going right, I really realize that it's important to know what's happening. I like the truth. So most of the tools that I developed to really discover what's happening within me, what is that I want, what is that I need to express to others from my really truth. That is what came this work, so I know how I feel physically. And then the second stage is to do something about it. If there are things that need changing, then I can only do it after I've observed myself. And that's first the things that I share. How do we know ourselves? That's the first. And then it just becomes part of practice.
But you mentioned that you start working physically.
Yeah. So the body is the greatest tool of information. Yeah. And because I do natural therapies and I work with energetic medicine, which does mean that, it has to be holistic, because there's a very strong link between emotions and physical symptoms. Naturally, we'll get to know what's going on emotionally when we're dealing with physical symptoms, and vice versa. It's very obvious that sometimes we think, oh, this is emotional, I'm feeling like moody, or I have questions about my relationships, and actually all those matters will reflect on the body and how we feel in our body, how we move, what are our sensitivities. So there's a strong link. And so when we use the body to give us that information, and then we apply tools that are not just to see life in a different perspective. No, actually, when we support the body will help us to move on and to even to discover new patterns of behavior, to be differently. Now I'm here with you,
Mm.
And I can feel a tension in my body because I want so much to share with you, and I want people to come out of this conversation a little bit more informed of what I do, but also what is that we have to offer, that my body starts filling up with energy. So if I really want to be efficient the way I speak to you, I have the information, I'm getting a bit overwhelmed, so I need
Mm.
to breathe. And that's just a tool that, it's been used for thousands of years since human beings exist, perhaps.
Yeah, but you know how to use it because now you're aware of your body and your emotions and how your emotion is reflected in the body, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, when I see clients in a one-to-one format, let's say, things come up with different priorities. So a woman comes to me and she says, I know I'm not having the relationship I want, but I really actually don't know what I want. So we may have to first go around her, what is her life context to understand what she needs. And so that's a take on what we have to observe. And other times I have a woman that wants to become a mother, but she's not feeling so secure about it. So we may have to look into what's happening in her career. So we have different places where we focus our attention, but eventually starts with that observation. So what's happening in the body, and then it's a really round up thing in terms of where we need to go. In a workshop, for example, I have to be a bit more structured. So that's why I also like that, because in a workshop, we bring a group together, people with totally different needs. They just know that they have something that needs to be expressed or something that needs change. So they come together.
So it's for any woman that just, I mean, it's not for specific issues or problems, or it doesn't even have to be an issue, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's not a very good, clever strategy in terms of marketing, but it doesn't have to be like a very specific niche. It doesn't have to be even an issue. I have had participants that just say, oh, you know what? I just read what you said about the woman of me. And I said, that's for me. I don't know why I'm here, which is great. I'm like, wow, what amazing. It's like coming into a totally different landscape and say, oh, I'm just going to play. It's like a playground. And then women say, I've been a mother for 3 years. I have no idea how am I going to start taking care of myself. I have no time. I need some guidelines. What would you do? Sometimes it's like, oh, you know what? I am in this career. I've just spent 10 years studying to become, I don't know, this kind of a person. And now I feel I have the job I want, but I don't know what to do with it. Like something is stuck and I cannot create. So it's really, really different. It's really gorgeous. I love it because the ages are very different. Although sometimes it's really nice to go deeper. So for example, if I'm working with people that work in the world of coaching, we all have our issues, oh, we work a lot and we all go like, oh, we spend our time talking about people's lives and then what's the time for myself? What can I do for myself? So it really depends. But what I've done and what you are now coming to face with my work is that there was normally a theme. There's normally a theme. And people will resonate with the different things they read. So
normally, what are the theme?
So, for example, one of the things I really like to cover in the workshop is body awareness. So sometimes I get people that are very much in their head. So professionals that use their head a lot, office, admin, researchers, CEOs, women that have forgotten a little bit their body. So that workshop will go more to focus how to bring the awareness into the body, use the mind in a very clever way, but in a very different way.
Yeah, I was going to say that it's a different way to use the mind.
Yeah, it's amazing because it's very common nowadays to hear, oh, your mind gets in the way and be in your body, and one has to ask, how are we in our body? What is consciousness and all that. So we come to this idea, okay, no, the mind is here for a reason. Just like ring the bells differently. Perhaps we don't need to put words. I don't need to know exactly how you describe yourself. That's the other thing. I'm Portuguese. I speak different languages. Sometimes even speaking different languages is not enough. But what is important is the experience. So it's more than knowing what to do, is actually doing it. That's why I love the settings of groups of women, and we're going to have circle very soon, and the circles are a regular thing in our program, because when we come together in a group, we don't actually need to talk so much about our problems. We have to experience what is within us, and then in a group setting to also get used to this idea that we are not on our own. Women come together, but not to be the same. I love the idea that we come together to see, wow, we are really different. I'm not that weird because I'm also different. So it's really about the experience.
It's so nice when you meet with other women and you feel first that you're not the only one experiencing something that you thought it was like so unique and so and you probably had a problem. And the other thing is like we ended up somehow supporting each other, like most of the time, right?
Yeah. I mean, I love it. Very often we come from this place where there's a wound, it's obvious.
Yeah.
When there is one client, it's obvious, but when there's a group of us together, the first thing that comes is the wound, and the wound comes from experience, from traumas of not being heard, of there's competition, there's jealousy, there's all these things that normally come up.
Shared. Yeah.
I think the wound comes because there's an inner feeling that that's wrong. And we have been told for actually over centuries that competition and scarcity are normal things. Fighting for resources is a normal thing. And my background is in ecology, and I really challenge that. I've researched so much around how we behave, not just human beings, but other animals. We behave when there's no scarcity. We start behaving in a very different way. So if we look at the scarcity, I mean, what we have within us is enough. It's not just a new age kind of statement. If we embody ourselves with what we need, if we are empowered, if we have the food we need, if we have the relationships we want, if we have an environment that is beneficial for our health and emotional well-being, we live in a totally expansive way. So by then we start relating totally different. And a woman that is similar to me but has different things as well, I am attracted to that. I start, wow, I'm like, yeah, come sister. Then it's where the word comes into place. Before when there's competition, before when we think if you have something I cannot have it. It's impossible. It's fake, right? It's like putting play. So it's really about experiencing. So we go from that. Whoa, I had to switch it off, but I was waiting for your call, so that's why. Anyway, so that's really what we departed from that, and the wounds, and I have many colleagues writing about this, and it's important to acknowledge that now we are aware of the collective wound, but also to understand that the wound is there because I really believe there's something within us that tells us that's wrong. I come from a mother, I am a woman, I mean, there's a continuation, there's this biological knowledge that there's a continuation through me. How can I not connect with other people, when I'm so connected with nature? So all these things wrapped up well. I have quite a few colleagues working on women connection to nature, menstruation cycles connected to nature. All these things come. And there's other people doing really good work on coaching in terms of intellectual, be empowered, be more assertive when you speak. I decide to work from a place that resonates a lot with me, that is just what is in me, what is the real truth in me. And then, of course, if my menstruation comes as a truth part of myself, then it's part of it. But when I am really aware of what do I want? I have women saying, you say to me that one of the things we need to discover is our desires. I have no idea of what I want. For me, that's juicy.
That's so common, actually.
Yeah. It's incredible. And, for me, it's actually important to speak, to speak to you here, for you to give me different perspectives, because sometimes we end up being in this bubble of a comfort zone. For me, it's incredible to imagine that one doesn't know what one wants. And I'm not saying intellectually, because if you ask me, what do you want to have for dinner? I might be the most indecisive person, because perhaps I love food too much. Right. I don't know. But when I say to you, when you actually ask me that question, I can go into my body. I know where I can find that answer. And that's, really what I like to do. It's not
so you can learn to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, well, exactly. And it's so great to speak to you, because for me, that's natural. There's a moment I take my breath, I tune in what I'm feeling in my body, and I just let the answers come. Now, this is not esoteric work. I had to practice. I had to practice to understand what is that is giving me the answers. It's not a little angel voice. It doesn't come with sparkling light. It is something we need to practice. And it's very easy. Some women are very embodied, because they are doing that work for some time, or because they were not suppressed, because they grew up in an environment that didn't tell them that their body was less important than their mind. Okay, I grew up like that. There's nobody to blame for. But when I was growing up, I would see my value by the amount of certifications, by how far I could go in the academic research career.
Yeah, me too.
And if I went into a meeting and I had a period pain, for example, gosh, I had to disguise it as much as possible, because my body could not take control of who I was going to be in that meeting. Now, there's nothing wrong about that until it really starts affecting who I am and how I feel appreciated in my life, So it's important to know the context. If I'm having a meeting with you here, I need to put my intention. I cannot be in cuckoo's land. We have an intention. We are recording a video. This needs to happen. But I do not deny the whole part of myself. So this is the thing that, okay, knowing that the body is important, how can I translate what the body is trying to tell me? How can I actually figure out if what my body is telling me is the right thing, or it's just some kind of a concept that I've taken from a Tantra book? And then what do I do with that information? It's very important. Am I ready to actually get that information? Because I'm going to have to use that information. Because once you start knowing, you're going into a conversation with someone and you feel all tied up here, and because you've done this work that, there's something about that conversation you're not enjoying, then, the next stage is really what to do about that. And that's something that we're going to do. I have a group on Facebook, and I'm going to give a webinar on how to relate authentically. And there's loads of wonderful people working on this. But for me, the key is, wow, my body can actually tell me if my conversation is going somewhere, so I can relate to you if I trust my body to tell me that I am having fun with that conversation, I'm going somewhere, and that you are interested. That's the part of empathy can come. Is Christina interested in what I'm saying? Perhaps I need to check in. Perhaps, So it is, the body is a great tool. It needs to be experienced. We need to practice that as a tool, and then we need to know what to do with that information.
And you will say that people come into first the circle, the women's circle, to know what they will have in the workshop, will work on and practice on those tools. Those steps to understand, and then to actually, or to do something about this understanding.
Yeah, that's the other thing. There is no magic number of how many months and how many weeks and how many times you need to do the exercise. The circles are a wonderful way to experience, to taste. So, for example, I'm going to be facilitating one, and
Mm-hmm.
circles very soon, which I am really keen on doing, to share a coaching tool that I've
Mm-hmm.
developed to help set up strategies, for example. But I am going to give hints of how to do that using the body. So it's very good for people who have never done this work, but also for those who have come to my workshops and or to my one-to-one sessions,
Mm-hmm.
because they know already, and now it's a playground. This is a bit
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah. It's like
for me
meeting friends.
now. Yeah, to meet, it's great.
Mm.
Then the thing is that there's a lot of work that can be done at home. Actually, that's the idea. It's like the difference between becoming a monk. This is something, an example I take. Becoming a monk and go and do some consciousness work in the mountains or in an isolated place, or actually become conscious in the normal day life.
Yeah.
So most of my exercises are actually to be applied every day. And in fact, there's an exercise that I developed because I had to do it. I didn't have time. And I said, oh, I don't have time to go and sit down and do a meditation. So I started doing that meditation whilst I was crossing the road, and I saw the red light as an opportunity. Like, okay, here I am. I can do my body scan right now. And so next time when I came to clinic and my client had exactly the same problem, I say, you know what, you're going to do some body scans 5 times a day, every time you're crossing the road, red light. They're like, you know what, it's really working, because the idea is to experience. It's really about be, to be. And
To
there's
be.
quite a few posts on Instagram that I put that are like about being rather than doing. I mean, we are always doing. That's a bit of an irony. But the being is the experience, is the part of the experience.
Okay, great. So what I understand for this, and then we're finishing the interview. Well, not, it's not an interview, it's like a conversation.
Yeah.
It's like the next thing to do is to go to the women's circle and check. I think it's a great opportunity to go. It's short. It's not too short. It's not too long. Go check see if I like you or not. If I have questions, and then probably try the workshop, right?
Yeah. And there is something just happening with my computer. I'm just going to, because I stopped
So,
seeing lovely face. That's it.
okay.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. So the circles are a good entrance point. But also I do them. I really miss the women that I've worked in the past, and I'm in London. London is very busy. I think it's common to everyone that is rather this new lifestyle. So rather than complaining about it, let's do something about it. So,
Mhm.
for example, I have a Facebook group, and we keep saying, oh, Facebook and social media.
Mm,
Actually, that for me, it's a great opportunity to just, okay, let's get together. And then
to
some of us
connect.
together physically, yeah, that's connect. But they connect there. It's amazing. I play these games for people to give some comments, and I can see it's really beautiful to observe how some people from different countries are already setting up friendships because they share common interests, or just support each other. And that doesn't mean that is a replacement kind of connection. It's just another way of using social media. Then the circles are actually the manifestation of that desire to come together. But the other thing as well is that we all have different ways of entering this work. Okay, I am not of the illusion that circles are always good for people. Some
Mm.
women that come to my workshops, actually the big step, the big challenging step, was to come to a circle, to a group of women, to a workshop where other women are going to be sitting down. It's a big thing we are not used to. We don't want to be talking about our problems.
We don't want to
We
share.
people we have never met, and that now we have to call sisters. It doesn't make any sense. So what I want to say is that actually that's my different take. When I do a workshop, again, it's a playground with a name. Well, I'm facilitating a space, but remember when you were a child, and perhaps you still do it because you do amazing work about, your own yoga and body movement, and I really like what you do, although I have to experience it more. But there is this kind of thing that when we go to a playground, when we arrive there, and we don't know if we're going to go on the slide or in the
Mm-hmm.
swing, just look
I
at,
just
and then,
go as I feel.
sorry?
I just go as I feel.
Yeah, and that is a little bit how I like the workshops to go.
Mm.
So I give the structures, and I'm expecting people to really, if you're stepping in, you're going to try to go on the swing, and you're going to try to go on the slide, but you don't have to become best friends with anyone on the swing park. That's the thing. So some women actually prefer the one-to-one consultations first. But my idea is really that there is different aspects in the different formats. And my website, The Woman of Me, is now having the setup for the online programs. And the online programs came because I had women that couldn't come to the one-to-one or to the live events. And I said, where can I get what you're doing? And so it's what I'm doing is wrapped up. It's an ever evolving thing because, again, as I say, it's adapts to the women I work with. It's me. I'm growing. I'm maturing. I have different projects in my life. It changes. But the bottom line is that is an experience to really go into your true self. So if there is a need to change a relationship, go into your true self to understand what you want from that relationship. If there is because you are witnessing a change of your interest and you want to change your career, but you don't know how to go within. So, I don't know, my life is all different now. Go within. And the going within, that's why I call it Woman of Me, is to discover what is within you that has the answers for that. And it's nothing that you need to improve. It's nothing that needs to change within you. But there's definitely something that is not being expressed. Otherwise, you would know. Otherwise, you wouldn't notice. Otherwise, I would not even say, I need to do some. No, it just will carry on. But there's that sparkle that is saying, there's something more. In fact, there is a poem I wrote for The Woman of Me that is all about there's something more, and I know it. So for me, that's what I facilitate. You come, you go, and I go because I have my woman of me with me. I'm sitting here with you like, is she talking? And I say she because sometimes it's easy to call it a different name. Is Adriana talking? Is the true self talking? And that's why normally when I give a talk or when I give an interview, I go over the time. And it's not so necessarily because I have so much to say. I just realized, Christina, because we were talking before we start recording this, and I just realized that actually it's just because it takes me time to really go into who I am truly. So perhaps the first half an hour you have of me, blah, 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 chatting, and I take that into consideration in the workshops. It's just a superficial. But after that half an hour, after those breaths, after I'm like, then we go into flow. So another thing that we need to be aware is that most of the decisions we are making in a rush life comes from the superficial. So a lot of our decisions are wrong. So how do I get quicker in connection with the woman of me? So I am making a decision based on what I really truly want. So it's really understanding these different aspects. And I think when I write, I am a little bit more linear, but I'm not a linear thinking person. I know that about me. So how are you, for example? How do you
It's so
act?
interesting that you already know that and you are aware, and not only aware, but you are in peace with that. Like, I need this. I need this talk that you name superficial. It's like, I need to go these ways before finding the way I really wanted to touch, or the way I wanted to go deeper.
Thank you. That's a good observation. And so for example, it just made me think of an example I have very practical in my life. So imagine I'm having a new conversation with someone I can work, and it's going really well, and it's all very exciting, etc. We've been there, let's talk about someone else. And I now know, because I know how I behave, I know how what my body needs in order to have a better connection with my brain, that I am the one that says to the person I'm talking to, okay, I need to breathe now, and I'm going to talk to you tomorrow about this. And that is such a gift to first, I'm taking care of my needs, but also I'm taking care to be not better, but to be a more true version to the other. You know, and so I'm giving this a gift. When I know what I need, and I'm able to request for what I need in order to be a true version of myself, what a gift that is to whoever I'm working with.
And it's also showing respect for yourself and for the other, because you don't want to say whatever.
Totally. Very true. It's like, starts with me. I cannot ask back to the other to take care of myself if I don't even know what I need. It starts with me, and then I respect the other by saying, you know, your time is precious, your attention is precious. I'm coming towards you very muddled, you know, and then things like, oh, you are in flow, or, you know, you are holistic. Things like that start making sense. You know, that's what really happens is.
What do you mean making sense? Like now?
Yeah, for me, for example, when you know, because my background is very intellectual, very academic, and I've been all these years very scientific, and things have to be compared, and you know, it's really gorgeous actually, because that gives you a linearity that is like, wow. And if things go out, ecologists are great, because ecologists and biologists have found ways to explain nature in its chaos. You know, it's absolutely gorgeous. But we are like that. You know, we have this beautiful skill of looking at things in an ordered way, but then we have the chaos. And the chaos puts things together. But the chaos is the value, you know, is when I come into a relationship and I'm trying to, let's say with my boss, you know, oh, you know, yeah, I didn't do that properly. This is what I needed to have done. Right? That's good. That's the mind working. This is the linearity. But then what happens between that conversation? What happens, what needs to be thought about that project? It's much rounder, you know. The information comes when I'm not noticing. So it's also nice to bring that into the collective, into the group, into the work that we do, to understand that, you know, human beings are linear, but are also this chaos.
Would you say that's why you prefer to do the workshops with 3 days? Like not less than 3 days? Are you taking that into account?
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I am. In fact, I've tried it.
And I've tried it shorter.
I have someone that I work in Portugal, and she has promoted several workshops of me, and by the end, she helped me to realize that, Adriana, you always say that. I always regret having shorter things, and it's not because I mean, it's great to have shorter things like the women's circles, but every time that I tried to do a Woman of Me workshop that was shorter, that didn't come into so much into the place, to the environment, you know, the flow. So yeah, it takes us time, and
you didn't have time to sink in.
Yeah, to give different, absolutely. In fact, the Woman of Me workshop is the 2.5 days. So the first day is just an evening, and it's really to do that you just said. It opens the space. We go into the space of the Woman of Me, and then we have 2 full days to just enjoy, to develop, to work, to do physical, to do movement, to do breathing within an intention, to do some writing, to discuss things, to go through experiences. And by the end of it, not only we've understood a little bit more who we are, but above all, we take tools to keep checking in. So it's just actually the opening. There's a wonderful place that we go that is about our relationship with our body. And then through the Woman of Me, I created something called the Undervalue Women. So the healing of the undervalued women, which is a whole program in itself, because there's so much in it, you know, the
But you
thing.
touch that in the workshop too, or that's completely
No,
separate?
there's a structure in the workshop where we really go into the undervalued women.
Mm.
And then from that, it's a structure that you take home, and you know, there's healing that happens right there in the circle. But I trust that the space is open for healing in that at that time. But the whole program is, it's, I like to go slower, and it goes into the details, because we basically, I would not be too far from the truth if when I say that most women and men, but for different reasons, we are undervalued. We are, you know, what we believe that is our worth is lower.
Mm.
Yeah, we are not so much in touch with what we call our divine self, you know, our full expansion. And who is out there that knows that the connection within is as big and expanded as the connection with the divine? You know, these are all words that can be used as metaphors, but the idea that I'm using here is there's consequences of having been undervalued all our life. It just is like a waste of energy. It's a waste of opportunities. It's the waste of potential.
Mm.
If I undervalue myself, how do I feel when I'm amongst the people that I perceive to be really good at what they do? You know, if I undervalue myself, how much stress have I got every time that I shut parts of myself because I don't believe I'm able to express or to manifest or to do things? I start getting physical symptoms.
Yeah.
Anxiety is one of the symptoms that we get directly from not feeling in our full potential, in our, that we are able to express what we really want. Because ultimately there's a wisdom, like I go back to the beginning, there's an inner wisdom that tells us we are capable. You know, our mind cannot read it. Our body suffers because we cannot express it. But I think it's common to, it's the part that stayed from our ancient animal roots, you know, before the intellectual took a lot of space. But luckily we still have that, an inner wisdom that we are capable, that we are here to prosper, that we are here to discover something new, that we are here to play, you know.
Yeah.
So every time that we go into environments where we are undervalued, in a relationship where we don't feel that we are seen, in a job that we are not manifesting our full creativity, there is something in us that says this is wrong again.
Mm.
So what happens with the undervalued, it's a long thing if we are very suppressed, you know. And I'm still doing that job, you know. My thing with me is that, you know, I get all the things that I say, am I able to actually pass my passion to people without showing that I'm selling a product? So there is a part of me that actually has a relationship with selling products that is perhaps not totally open and disclosed and healed. Yeah. So there are parts in myself where I'm still not sure I can expand, not sure I'm worth it, you know. But I'm aware. And that's the thing. Once I'm aware and someone comes to me and says, Adriana, I want to work with you, because, and I don't know how it's going to happen, I'm going like, this is a real wonderful opportunity. You
And
know,
I have so much things to share, so
yeah. But there is a fear behind saying, oh, are you sure? Are you worth it of this? No, don't go for it. It's like,
it's like a microsecond thought that is there, right?
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. But
sorry, and I guess a lot of people try to kill that that voice. And I'm not sure we can kill it, but at least being aware that it's there and just look at it, or being aware, notice it there, like, yeah, I know you're there, but I also know you're not true.
You know, that's something I really like about you, Chris, is that is that you have very little. I feel that you have very little negative judgment around the things that normally people see as negative in themselves. You know, you really accept that, and that is, you know, again, the new age kind of era that we are living. It's one of acceptance. Oh, accept all parts of yourself, you know, allow that. In fact, that is it's a true statement, but it has to come from within. Yeah. I mean, if I'm a really nasty person or rude, and I don't know how to behave in society without hurting others, do I want to accept that part? What does that mean? I don't think those parts should be accepted. Well, what I need to accept is where they are coming from. Okay, why do I need to be that person? And it's like you're saying, I need to accept something that exists, that voice within me saying, doubting, making myself doubt, because that voice is the same that is actually helping me to deliver a really good product. You know, I really think it's my friend, because it's saying, you know, don't screw it up. You know, be really good at what you're doing. And that is the thing, is that it's the same that makes me go like, oh, can I do this? You know, am I going to deliver? It's the same that saying, you are going to deliver a hell of a good work, you know.
But to get into that stage, you need to practice a lot. You need to work a lot with this enemy to make it your friend.
Yeah.
No?
And it just, because you said that, you just remind me of something that other colleagues of mine have been like, is that work? Is this like work? Because I use that word a lot, work. But perhaps I use work because I like what I do. So work for me, I have a very good relationship with work. But yeah, it may be that is a lot of practice, or sometimes it is the switch. There is a moment where the switch will happen. Okay, so that's why I say that many of us come to this work from different entrance points, because sometimes we go to these things and we work with different coaches and, you know, self-help books, and it just doesn't happen even if we are practicing. There is a change that sometimes for some of us happens like magic. And I can give you a hint. I think that magic comes again from within, and it comes from self-love. Now, self-love is also something, going into that, self-love can be something that we developed and is practice. And there's tools for that. But self-love also can happen with a change, with a switch, magic switch. So then the next question is like, how does that magic switch happen? And it's through pleasure.
Through pleasure, of course, pleasure.
Because pleasure gives you first it gives you the hormones, and it gives you the healing, all the healing activators that we have in our body are connected to the sense of pleasure. So that's the physiological part, and you can see my face has changed as I'm speaking a little bit more academically about that, because that's something I train professionals on, you know, oxytocin metabolism. Great. So pleasure changes your body to heal, and you feel great.
Any pleasure?
Yes, actually it's any pleasure, as long as your body perceives as pleasure. Okay, so
most people relate pleasure with sexuality. Yeah. But I guess you are talking about in a more general way.
Yeah, and they are right. So because actually a lot of what we feel in our bodies is related directly to sexuality, not directly to sex, but directly to sexuality, because we are the hormones we produce when we have sex that is pleasant, not just sex as a practice. So every time that we practice something that gives us pleasure, either being through sex, through good food, through touch, massage, through looking into each other's eyes, which is again a very, let's say, primeval kind of connection that we still get and have in common with most mammals, superior mammals. So we have many other things. Listening to music to some people activates pleasure. There's quite a few things that we do that activate the same hormones as when we are having pleasant sex. Okay, so for me, calling it sexuality makes sense. Now, a lot of the pleasure that we can get is self-care. It's through self-care, you know, through taking the time to do the things that makes us feel good, makes us feel safe. They will activate the hormones that will bring us healing and will actually promote changes in our brain. Yeah. So this is going back to the answer to what I was getting to, that in order to change our relationship with our, let's say, saboteurs, with the mind, with the body, the voice that keeps doubting or keeps giving us this negative approach to life, in order to make friends with that part, there is something in our body that needs to come, and it's from love, and love comes from having pleasure. We love ourselves when we have pleasure, and that becomes a learning pattern. Okay, it's impossible to tell someone to change the way they see themselves intellectually. It has to come through a lived experience. And that's why dancing, I mean, I was forgetting dancing. I mean,
yeah.
Dancing is one of the most important or significant ways of producing oxytocin, you know, particularly dancing with others, not necessarily touching, but where there is a group. So that's why, you know, there you have things now called ecstatic dance. I mean, it's like almost like a, how do you say, a pleonasm? Is that the figure, is the style where you just repeat something? Dance that is ecstatic. Actually, all dance, if we are allowed to be in our bodies, we feel dance as ecstatic. Meditation is another one. Meditation, that one is totally the opposite. You're not connecting with others, you're connecting with yourself, you're connecting to your breath, you're resting.
You can connect with others too with your focus in meditation.
Totally. It's one of the parts of meditation, that's correct. I was thinking of the meditation that I practice.
Think of me when you meditate.
Like, yeah,
But I guess the key of what you're saying is like being in your body, being embodied, and then allowing yourself to enjoy, to have pleasure. And then that's what you're saying, the starting point of I am worth it. I'm worth it to enjoy life, to enjoy this dish or enjoy this moment with friends, and then starting from that point. That's what you're saying.
You feel, yeah. And in many sentences that become like cliches, but they really come, you know, the divine is within you. The meaning of life, look inside. You know, in Kundalini Yoga, we practice every session with our eyes closed. It's all about the experiencing. You know, the teacher may be there, but the experience is all within. And that is why it's so powerful, because suddenly there's a whole, it's like looking through the microscope or through the telescope, depending how you see it. But when you look inside, when you go in within, it's like a whole different universe. And that's where the key is. It's really the key. You know, when you're talking to me, the metaphor that came to me, and I work a lot with metaphors, so sometimes they only make sense to myself. But to me was that when you're talking, I'm like, when I look within, when I meditate, when I go within, when I dance, even if I'm dancing with others, but I am fully present with my experience, what am I feeling? What does that mean? That's another thing. That's another talk. But, you know, I'm breathing. When I eat mindfully, so when I eat with someone else, this is important. When I'm connecting with my food and really, the digestive process starts, my mind is already going like, whoa, this is amazing. Or
with the smell and with the look.
exactly, we activate all these things. I mean, it's about the experience. For me, it's like a mirror. It's the true mirror. You know, when we have a mirror in our houses and we look every morning to see if we are presentable or whatever. And I actually have put now recently words of, I mean, it's becoming really like new age kind of thing, but it works. It's like I can still see, you know, if I but I've put messages on my mirror, and it's just so lovely.
Hello, beauty.
Yes, absolutely. I have a big thing. I put it in Portuguese so to see if it goes into my psychic differently. But but you know, that's the mirror. But actually, there is no better mirror than when I close my eyes or when I can have them open, but I'm connecting. It's amazing. And yeah, and that's the journey. That's really the journey. The journey. Okay, I'm a few steps ahead of this journey, not of many others. I with you know with the wolf flow, I'm not in that. I'm right in the beginning. With my step in, like I have to step in actually.
Leap of
But
faith.
sorry?
Leap of faith.
Yeah, absolutely, a leap of faith. There's different journeys out there. This for me is just really a pleasant one, and you know, and it comes from very much practical. I've been supported by really great people. You know, it's really how things should be, and that's why I wanted to be a researcher. I thought that being a researcher in academia, I was going to collaborate with all these minds, you know, as if now there's some softwares that do that, you know, computers put together to become supercomputers. I thought that's what the scientific community was doing. I think there's very great people out there doing a great science, but that was not my reality. So I carry on looking for, so where can I get with other groups of people where we put ourselves together and create the change, you know, create really what's there to be experienced. And I have been very blessed to work with colleagues and with mentors that still guide me. That is just amazing. And now this is me, you know, and I'm just sharing this in a way that is quite mature at the moment, but it's still evolving. And I'm very happy that you are on board. And
Me
curious.
too. I want to try. I really want to check this. And when I say leap of faith, this is exactly how I describe this. It's like sometimes you don't know exactly how it's going to work. You don't know exactly what's going to happen, but feeling the connection with someone, like feeling this could be right. This is something that I'm willing to try. Is enough to go and try. And I hope with this interview, people feel that, at least get that interest, the curiosity. I want to meet these ladies. I want to meet these these
Yeah.
people doing it. Just to go and see if my gut was right, and to see what I feel.
Well, yeah, it's definitely big fun. I mean,
Yeah.
it's quite intense. It can be quite ceremonial.
Ah.
It's like I like rituals. I like the fact that we also can tap into a certain kind of rituals to, you know, to place our intentions. I bring a lot of things together, but it's definitely fun in when we have that leap of faith to give, you know, that just that little courage. And the other thing that people say about is that the space was very I'm not going to say that it was me, but people say the space was held.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I have that tendency. I hold people's, but that's not my intention in the workshops, because I'm not there as a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
But what is created is a space where people can hold themselves really beautifully. And so it's one of the things that people say. The spaces that we create are safe for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They can go wherever they feel they want to go in that moment. But the fun part is really, you know, I love the playlists I play. So, I love it. I love it.
Okay. That's a sensitive topic.
Yes, I know, I know, I know, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But it's like it's yeah, it's a statement. Some again, some colleagues of mine use music in a very way to create moods. I'm learning to use silence to create to allow for the moods to
It's
come.
so important, silence, in order for you to get into your own thoughts and your own.
Yeah, 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 definitely. So yeah,
Okay,
that's us.
that's us. I have no idea how I'm going to cut this. But definitely it was really nice
Thank you.
talking to
Yeah, it
you.
was really great. I look back and what have I been just saying? I have no idea.
Let's see.
Honestly, yeah, it's
Let's check.
let's see. But I really, yeah, I really like to the fact that now, you know, the information is on the website as well. So it allows me to be more in this space of instant connection with you and you know, communication. And if that is not clear,
Talk
information
to
on
me.
the website,
Contact me.
thewomanofme.com. Yeah, that's my baby now. So,
Yeah, onemanofme.com. Okay.
thank you, Christina. It's lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah. See you very soon.
Bye.